1 meter in the open ocean at this point in time.
Now, the fact that the epicenter of the earthquake was relatively close to the coast, about 125 kilometers off the coast, and was also in relatively shallow water, about 24 meters deep, would that generate a bigger tsunami wave or waves, or would they be less? Would they be much lower?
No, the fact that it was a shallow earthquake makes it worse in terms of the potential for tsunami generation, and so that was one of the first things that actually perked my ears up when I saw the initial reports. Now, the initial reports, of course, I mean, the initial information about depth is usually not very well constrained. The information that comes out in the first few hours after the event until more data is processed, but the fact that the initial estimates put it so shallow is a cause for concern, and it will be a tsunami has been generated, and yeah.
And in terms of preparation, in the aftermath of that earthquake several years back, the Asian tsunami rather, that killed so many people, in terms of preparation right now, would countries around the Pacific Rim be better prepared right now?
Absolutely. Already I've been in discussions this evening with New Zealand geophysicists and hazard officials. We have a working group that convenes straight away. I've already have my tasks in place, which I will get to as soon as I'm done with this phone call. And so New Zealand is aware and responding to the threat, and definitely the countries around, especially in the Pacific Rim, are aware. We've all received our emails and alerts, and hopefully these messages have gotten through to the emergency planners around the country, and they're around the world rather. And indeed, they're supposed to be ready for this event. It's so much more on people's minds these days.
Now, we were just looking at some dramatic and very extraordinary pictures of a wave which was washing up along the east coast of Japan. That wave washing away cars and boats and tearing away buildings along the coastline there. The wave, of course, and the waves, I should say, would take a longer time to reach those coastlines that are further away from the epicenter. What kind of timeline are we talking about around the Pacific?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just closed that window that had my travel time map, but here in New Zealand, we're waiting. We should see arrival around 12 hours. I believe Hawaii was in the 6.5-hour range, and longer for areas further afield. But I believe the Marshall Islands I was looking at were in the 9-hour range, and those are the sorts of distances or times that we're looking at.
So in New Zealand, if you're talking about 12 hours, presumably New Zealand will be well prepared for something like this.
Yeah, well, definitely New Zealand is prepared. The warning centers are talking to the people who will be on the ground. One thing that is positive for New Zealand is that it will arrive when it is low tide on the northern coast of New Zealand, so that is a positive. We're not expecting a wave much larger than 1 meter here because of we are significantly off the axis of the main beam of energy that's going to be released by the tsunami. Most of that energy is traveling to the central Pacific Ocean, and so New Zealand is significantly off axis from that.
But still, 1 meter could do significant damage to towns and cities along that coastline.
Not really, no. A meter, the tide here is on the order of 2 to 2.5 meters, so it's really not much bigger than the normal tide, or it's not even the magnitude of the tide range here.
Okay, sir, thank you for joining us. That's Dr. Jose Borrero, a tsunami scientist, talking to us from New Zealand. Now, you're watching Al Jazeera's extended coverage of the powerful earthquake that struck off the coast of Japan. Let's go through the latest developments. The U.S. Geological Survey are saying it measured the earthquake at 8.9 magnitude at a depth of 24 kilometers. That's regarded as a shallow depth where major damage can be expected. It was centered off the coast, 380 kilometers northeast of the capital, Tokyo. There's now a tsunami warning in effect for Japan, Russia and the Mariana Islands. A tsunami watch has been issued for Japan. Philippines and as far across the Pacific as the island of Guam. Now, in the capital, Tokyo, a large building could be seen on fire and workers rushed out into the streets. A 4-meter tsunami washed away cars and a bridge in Kaimashi City. Japan's defense ministry has scrambled military aircraft to assess the damage. According to Japanese television, all public transport in the capital has been stopped. Rail passengers have been left to walk along the lines. The quake has sent tremors through the financial markets too. Japan's Nikkei closed down 1.7%, hitting a 5-week low. And Japan's top oil refiner has halted operations of 3 refineries in Sendai, Kaishima and Negishi, but one installation in Chiba is still ablaze. Al Jazeera senior meteorologist Steph Galter joins me now in the studio. So Steph, what would the situation be along the Pacific Rim countries right now?
Well, they'll be nervous and they'll also be watching the buoys. There is at least a whole network of buoys across the Pacific to measure things like a tsunami when they start going across. So at least places further away will have more warning. That's the thing that we can at least get some kind of comfort from. But for Japan itself, it's a devastating earthquake.